Hallo, guten Morgen, guten Tag oder guten Abend. Willkommen, willkommen. Es ist der laughatpat Podcast, #Patchats. Ich heiße Patrick, willkommen. Und yeah, okay, that's all I've got for now. But we are going to be talking meine Deutsch lernen this episode, but I wanted to start the show by letting you know that I did spend a solid 5 to 10 minutes trying to make sure that I could hear my own voice in the headphones, and it's still not totally working, but I'm keeping the headphones on because it's kind of, I feel like it's a podcasting prop. It adds to the professional podcasting aesthetic that I'm kind of going for. So, you know, while they are basically more of a prop right now, I just wanted you to know that I'm not hearing my own voice, which is annoying to me. I enjoy hearing my own voice, actually. So that's a bit annoying. There we go. That's the audio level I think that we need. So welcome back to another episode of the laughatpat podcast, #Patchats. I, of course, am your host, Patrick, if you didn't understand meine Deutsch. I have to say, I was actually like really excited to get to sit down and record the podcast. I was kind of thinking about like, what am I going to talk about this week? I mean, I've been collecting the Yahoo News headlines, which of course we're going to get to in the second half of the show. I have some good stuff I'm into this week, and I don't know, I'm kind of having a lot of fun with, you know, just creating this little podcast and show and finding some format and getting into some routine with it. And I was like looking forward to doing this one. Last week, obviously, we had Dragos on as a guest. So thank you to him at Dragos Comedy on all platforms. Check out that podcast and check out some of his comedy on YouTube or TikTok or whatnot. But so I didn't get a chance to do a solo ep. And I have to say, it is funny when you're doing these kind of, I don't know what you want to call like creative projects or whatever, but sometimes like you kind of get the mirror held up to what you're doing. You know, someone followed me on my Instagram at laughatpat on all social media, and he was like, yeah, inspired by the Bill Burr podcast, just solo episodes. And he had like invested clearly, like he had a really nice podcasting microphone and nice camera. And he was just like kind of running through subjects. And I watched a couple of like clips and I was like, oh, right. You know, we're all like kind of aspiring to try to touch something. But I mean, there's a reason that the, you know, professional comedians who were, working at basically being funny and whatnot for decades have interesting shows. And some of us who are starting out, you know, it's just a little bit. I created a bunch of my childhood best friend who let me know that he didn't like that I called him my childhood best friend, but friend of the show, the first ever guest, and you know, also a current friend, close acquaintance. We've been trying to work out maybe doing a podcast together, and I made some sound drops that we were thinking about doing, and honestly, I might steal some of those sound drops because I felt like one of them would have fit in right there, and that's, I think, the signature laughatpat podcast #Patchats moment is that, you know, 3 minutes in, we're already off the rails. We're away from the notes. You know, I went for a run. I thought about kind of what I wanted to say, the subjects, what we were going to get into. I came home. I jotted down some bullet points. I wanted to record it then, but my girlfriend, who I love, you know, ich liebe sie, aber sie mochtest kochen und kochen und kochen. She was like, I'm going to make this curry soup, but it took a while, so then I kind of lost a little momentum on it. But we're here now. This isn't a podcast where I air my dirty laundry or vent. I mean it is. That is what it is. But anyways, we're already away from the notes, so I want to get back on track with this, you know, well formatted, well thought out show, and update you guys a little bit about my Deutsch lernen. I feel like I've talked about it before and I've expressed frustration. Maybe that I even felt feelings of, anger towards Anya for being from a country with a language like German. But I finally, I feel like, I understand almost zero German still after, now 2 months of 5 days a week, 3 hours of class, plus homework, plus making flashcards and studying on the train. Like that's one of the little deals I made with myself with my Deutsch learning was I was like, every time I ride the train, I'll just study my flashcards. That's something productive I can do. And so that's a little habit that I've created. And even with all of that, I still can really not very much read German. I can't really understand much German, and I can't really speak it either. But I would say finally in the last couple weeks, I've felt some level of breakthrough, some level of kind of, things are starting to click. I'm starting to be able to read street signs on the street or in the U-Bahn station. I'm annoying Anya with, my questions in German and trying to say things in German. And the thing is, like, she wants to correct everything I say, and I'm just like, no, like I'm just pushing ahead. I'm just trying to speak. You just respond. And actually, this was like a little argument we got in this morning. I know I said it was a podcast not about airing dirty laundry, but this is the right laundry to air because it's relevant to the story, the podcast. But I was trying to speak German with her, and I was saying some stuff, and then she was like not getting it. And I was getting so upset because I was like, I'm saying like a simple sentence, and I understand that the sentence structure is wrong. I think I was saying something like "du kannst something," like saying like you can do this thing or whatever, and I had the words kind of somewhat switched around, but I'm using simple words, and like you could figure out what I'm trying to say. If someone comes up to me in California, who, I mean, realistically, if it happens in California, it's probably that they speak Spanish, but and they say a sentence wrong, and they're like, you can with help the rice. It's like I can intuit that, like, okay, they need some rice, and they want me to show them where the rice is in the store. I mean, of course, this reference is coming from my history as a organic food grocer, which I feel like this whole thing screams organic food grocer. But anyways, I'm like, just, make the effort. I'm making the effort. I'm learning German 5 days a week. I mean, I'm trying. I'm going to the class and everything. So just make the effort to try to understand what I'm saying. I know it's wrong, but act like I'm a small child or, an immigrant, which I am. I'm an immigrant, technically. It feels like if you're like a white American that like nowhere you can go, can you really have like immigrant experience? No, I don't know. That's a whole nother subject that we don't need to go down into. But so yeah, I was a little frustrated with that. I'm like, just try to understand me. Like, I'm trying. Can you please try to understand me? But she's actually quite patient with me. And I look forward to the point or day when I finally can take advantage of the fact that she speaks the language I'm trying to learn, and we can converse a little bit. But I was thinking about it today on my run, what is driving me to try to learn German, besides the obvious that it's like, well, I've invested, 1,600 euros into 6 months of German classes that I needed to sign up for to be able to get a visa to stay in the country. That was kind of like the first reason. But then, okay, I've invested some money. It seems like I should try to learn. Also, I'm living here. Also, the person that I, might spend possibly the rest of my life with, if she ever says yes to me, speaks German, and her family speaks German. So I feel like it's a good thing to learn. And she already speaks English. I mean, granted, she kind of cheated because she started learning when she was like 7. So, I'm sure if I could go back and start learning German at age 7 and like have it be like a real thing that people tried to do, it wouldn't be such a problem right now. But I realized that the third rung of reasoning of why I'm, at least really, I would say I'm giving it the good old college try, which is not a good saying when it comes to me because I did not try very much in college. But I would say the good old college try that I'm giving is partly, I gotta say, it's ego driven. There's something that appeals to me about the idea of being able to say I speak German, or like I speak a couple languages, just to casually slip it into conversation and, whatever. It's like, it's not that I want to use it when I go to the shops. It's not that I want to, connect more with, some of my beloved's extended family who maybe doesn't speak as good of English. No, it's mostly just that I want to slip into conversation and be able to like ego boost myself by mentioning at parties that I speak German. It's not even that I like want to learn. It's just that I want to have learned, basically. So, I'm not sure if that's exactly healthy. I think it's healthy that I understand that that's part of my motivation. That I think of like old friends from college, and I think of like meeting up after a while and being like, oh yeah, like, I mean, I lived in Berlin and like learned German for a while. I mean, it's pretentious. It's definitely pretentious, but if it helps me learn German, great. I'm all for it. So that was an interesting kind of insight that came to me recently, was that it's part of my motivation is really just that I want to like be that guy. Also, I think the thing too is it's like everybody here, Anya, all of her friends who have become my friends, like minimum they speak 2 languages, but a lot of them speak like 3, maybe even 4 languages. They speak English and German. A lot of them are also like fluent in Spanish. One of our good friends, I mean, her friend, but I feel like now he's also my friend. I mean, he also speaks some Chinese. I mean, I'm hoping he'll become a guest on the podcast soon, but that also makes me be like, I mean, come on, it would be good if I could just get down 2. My friend Ehsan, who has been a podcast guest before, back on the More to Explore podcast, and who I hope to have on the program again as well. I mean, he learned English and then came here and learned German, and now he has 3 languages as well. I'm just I'm like, I could at least get a little bit. Like, I don't need to get perfect. Like, I don't need to get good enough to like work at a business, but if I could just have some casual conversation. And the thing is, maybe I've said this story before, but I think the one thing I have going for me, I'm not great at doing stuff that I'm not good at initially, and I'm not great at doing stuff that I have to just like, really put in the work. And because like I can be quite disciplined and whatnot. I mean, like we're doing this video stuff, I can really easily like set myself down and really just concentrate and work and be engaged. But stuff like this where it's like I want to learn, and I am getting something. It's like I'm getting some enjoyment from starting to understand or whatnot, but it's this type of thing that I really do have trouble forcing myself to just like sit down and be like, okay, now is the time you're gonna do some German homework. And it's like, oh, is it? Anyways, I feel like there was something else I was going to say about that, but that's the Deutsch Lernen update for those of you who are following along at home and are interested to know how it's going. So, hopefully I will be able to speak some more. Ich spreche mehr Deutsch in the future. I don't know the word for future in German. I'm sorry. I'm trying. I've got ich will, du willst, I want, you want, yeah, I'm not going to just... It would be very on brand for the Laugh at Pat podcast, #Patchats, to just go through all of the German words that I know, and it probably would only fill the first half of the show, but I feel like it's not great content, so we're going to move forward. We're going to keep going. And the next thing I wanted to talk about was the Berlin Corona update. Do-do-do. So yeah, things are still shut down here. It seems like things are more shut down here than they even are back home in the States. Now in California, they lifted the stay-at-home order, and we're going to take a quick moment of silence for those of you watching the audio, and for those of you watching the video. This moment of silence brought to you by mate, which I still love. God damn, that shit's good. But yeah, things are still, shut down here, but like also only kind of shut down. For example, the Canary Islands are open, and I know multiple people who have gone and, like worked from home in the Canary Islands, and that doesn't really seem to be being controlled that much, but, they're ratcheting up. You have to wear like crazier masks, like the K2 FFP masks now on the train, supposedly. I mean, no one is really controlling it, but that's something that's happening. And, I mean, we're still meeting a few friends here or there, but it's like there's not much going on. Shops and restaurants and everything are only open for kind of takeout type of stuff, and all just like the normal lockdown stuff. Everybody knows about lockdown shit. That's not really like interesting or new, but that's still happening here. But the point why I brought it up was I was going for a run, and I live near one of the parks here in Berlin. I think it maybe is one of the biggest parks in Berlin. It's called Tempelhoffeld, and it used to be the airport in Berlin. And they shut down the airport, and they've done a few minor tweaks to it, but everything is basically still the same. Like the runway is there, the taxiing area, the main hub of like the buildings of what the airport was are all still there. I mean, it's kind of fenced off from the area where I come in. So, I don't know if you can normally like get closer or something, and it's just a park. And at first I was kind of like, I had been a couple times and I thought like, it's not that nice. It's just like super flat and empty, like when I go to a park, I'd like to see, a few trees, or, a river or some, whatever. But I've actually really gotten into it, and I've been running there frequently since it's near my new apartment. And I had what I feel like is a great idea. And I was like, this is never going to happen. I'm not going to do anything about this idea, but it can be content for the podcast. Content for the podcast. It can be content for the podcast. We're having fun. We're having a good time, I guess. I hope you're having fun. I'm a little bit keyed up on this mate, and I'm having fun, so why not? But yeah, so Tempelhoffeld, and I had this idea, obviously Berlin is known for its music, its club scene. It has a huge influence on kind of like techno and various genres of electronic music and everything. And so, and there are a lot of really great festivals that are put on in Germany and also like in Poland and stuff that are, I guess kind of contributed to by the clubs in Berlin. And right now there's this moment where, the clubs are kind of the first to close and the last to reopen. There's not, I think, a ton of aid going to the clubs. And, as Berlin becomes more and more of a popular city, it seems like, the buildings and places that they took over and created created the scene and culture that added the value to the city is now starting to push them out, which is sadly kind of, in my mind, the natural cycle of a city. A city is kind of repressed, dangerous, cheap. The artists move in. That breathes life into the city. It starts to become trendy. It starts to become cool. Kind of the hipsters move in. There's like now trendy little cafes opening. And then, the young working professionals and the big corporations start moving to the city because it's a place that people want to live. And so it's a way to attract, high quality workers. And then that starts raising the prices and the values of all of the properties. And slowly those artists who kind of breathe life into an area or a city are forced out, and the city becomes less interesting and more boring. And maybe that's something that is in the process of happening here. I don't know. Who am I? What the fuck am I talking about? I don't fucking know what I'm talking about. But Alex Gray, I kind of got that from Alex Gray, who's an amazing artist who I highly recommend that you check out his artwork. Kind of said something like along those lines in a podcast once, and it really rang true to me. So anyways, these clubs, they're in danger. At least that's the word on the street. That's the word, around town. The Berghain, one of probably the most famous club in Germany, if not in all of Europe. Maybe just in Germany. I don't know. It's a very famous club. And I shot my latest sketch, kind of poking some fun at the club scene in Berlin, or more poking fun at stupid American tourists. And they have a big sign on their front of their building that says, Morgen ist der Frage, or something, which, because I'm super fluent in German and now I realize, said, tomorrow is the question. And I think that's the general consensus around the city and within the scene of, music and art and culture. And, there had been protests throughout parts of the summer and in the spring as well, to try to advocate for more aid from the state for these people who aren't able to work for this, all of these lockdowns and all of this time, and who are adding so much value to the city, who, they're creating the culture. It's, I think it's really short-sighted if you undervalue that. And so I don't know, I had this idea. I was like, they should throw a music festival this summer at Tempelhoffeld. And it could be a kind of like mandatory donation based, however much you want to say, €30 pre, €50 on the day if you show up. I don't know the economics, but I was like imagining, and if the city really understood the value that the clubs bring, that they could, donate the time of the police officers to, kind of monitor the outside to make sure that like not too many people came in, and, donate the porta potties. I feel like all of the artists would, and should, donate their time playing in sets. That you could easily get volunteers to help set everything up, to get production companies to donate their sound systems and lighting rigs, and kind of throw this this benefit festival for the Berlin club scene in Tempelhoffeld. And I feel like it works. The other reason why it makes a lot of sense, and it makes sense for the government too, is it's its own type of stimulus. It's actually organic stimulus, because if I were a hostel owner, I would also want to advocate for this idea, because it's like that means people are going to come to the city again and, want to stay at the hostels. It's going to be the restaurants, bars, food carts, whatever. For all of them, it's a huge, opportunity and moment for their businesses to get some relief and some aid that is just going to happen organically. It doesn't have to just be a handout from the government. And I was like, fuck, like this is a cool idea. And I mean, then of course the question is like, yeah, but this summer they're saying like maybe it's going to be worse with Corona, and maybe it's not possible to just have an event like that in the city. And okay, this is the part where we might be getting a little bit crazy, and maybe I'm being insensitive, but I just thought to myself, like, okay, so we know basically if you're under 55, there's, a tiny chance that you're going to actually die or even get like very sick from the coronavirus. Over 55, it starts to become a risk. Over 65, it's a real risk. Over 75, it's like, okay, you're definitely in danger. I was like, but what if you also with this, it's like, okay, there have been problems with, suicides and drug overdoses and, all of these things. What if we gave people something to look forward to? We started talking about it now. There's this 4 days in July, this is happening. And part of that messaging is also, if you're over 55, even if things are more open up that week, you need to do an intense lockdown, because I feel like we've all locked down with the idea of like, no one wants to kill someone else's grandparent or parent or whatever. And, we've all made these sacrifices. And so for 1 week to say like, okay, we as a society have all been trying to make sacrifices to make sure people with pre-existing health conditions, people who are older, who are most at risk, can be safe. And that's a worthy thing to do. But now we need to give people something. And now you have to take this little bit of responsibility, and you have to spend 2 weeks just with an intense quarantine, can't leave the house kind of thing. And I don't know, maybe that's a bit crazy. Anyways, that was my little idea, and I was running at Tempelhof Feld being like, oh, that would be cool. That would be really cool. And I think maybe the thing is, I'm missing life a little bit. I've been writing a bunch of stand-up bits, and I'm not like, I say everywhere like, oh, I'm a comedian. I'm not a comedian. I'm just like trying, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. But I've been like writing a bunch of new bits, and I'm like, oh man, I'm just finally at this nexus point of like, I've always been interested, but finally I have the self-confidence that I want to go do it, and I have the discipline that I'm like actually working at it. And I'm like, shit, man, I want to go out and like try these bits out. Like I want to go, try to make them good, make them funny. The wheels have been turning, like old stories that I could turn into something that could be kind of like, I have an idea to do this interactive thing with the audience where I can like get suggestions and make a song at the end of my set or something. I don't know. I have these ideas and I want to go try them out. And so I'm missing that, that thing. And also, I don't know. I was listening to some music on my run the other day, and it's like, also I'm missing, I miss going and getting to dance and go to the clubs and listen to music and be around people and have that experience. I was specifically thinking of those moments when you like leave the music and you kind of go outside for a minute and it feels like you've come up out of a swimming pool and it's suddenly like the real world is around you again. I miss that moment. And I don't know. I know maybe it's a long road ahead still, and that sucks. And so that's the depressing end to the first half of this podcast. We're going to be back with a lot of fun, upbeat, funny stuff. Thank you guys for watching. We're going to take a quick pause, and we'll be back with more All right, and we are back. Now, I meant to do this in the first half, but I did want to do some Laugh at Pat news, talk a little bit about the Laugh at Pat experience. And the things I tried this recently was, a podcast that I like, The Tim Dillon Show, which I highly recommend to everybody. I think I've talked about that before in the Stuff I'm Into segment. He had a funny little bit about this apocalypse sommelier, and so I made a whole skit about it. And honestly, when I wrote it, I was like, oh, okay, I'm engaged with this. It's super fun. I'm excited to see how it turned out, and I was really happy with how it did turn out. But also, part of me was like, oh, this is maybe another avenue or opportunity. Of course, it's like I want to do the work and I want to get better and make funnier videos and make better videos. And, that's something I'm continuing to work on. And hopefully I personally feel like it is improving. Hopefully, maybe if you're watching, you feel that way too. Maybe you don't, in which case, rough, because I've been working hard on this. But I was hoping like, maybe like he'll notice it or like post something about it. And that could be kind of an organic way to gain some new audience. And the other thing I tried this week is I'm also a huge fan of the Your Mom's House podcast, one of the funniest, best podcasts on YouTube. And sometimes they get these videos of people doing weird, crazy stuff. And this guy made this insane date proposal video for this lady. And so they played it on their show. And something people do on their show is also they'll send in videos of themselves kind of like recreating a clip that they played on the show. And I thought, like, immediately when I saw it, I thought, like, oh, I could, like, write this and, like, make some good references to other, kind of famous videos they've showed on the show and make something kind of funny and good with this. And so Sunday I came back, I, like, rewatched it a bunch of times, wrote it, memorized this whole script, made this, it's like a minute and a half or whatever, and made this whole thing and emailed it to them, and then was kind of like, oh, like, let's see, maybe, because usually when they play a fan-made kind of thing on the show, they'll usually, like, shout out their Instagram or something. And I came close because someone else did it, and they played theirs, like the same kind of idea. And I have to admit, his was better. He did it better. So, that was something. But I felt like, okay, that's it's a swing and a miss in a way, but it also was, of course it was fun to do, and it made me think, like, oh, I should try to, like, keep engaging with that stuff, because that's an interesting avenue or opportunity to, I don't know, try to gain or grow some sort of audience or whatever. And yeah, and I had a little like breakthrough this week on one of my Instagram posts. It, like, got a bunch of way more views than it normally had, and it felt good. It's not all about the views. It's what I tell myself. But if sometimes it feels good when you get some little nugget, and that's been something I've been thinking about. It's something I heard a comedian, Pete Holmes, say once, when talking about pursuing something kind of, like, creative, and it's, it feels kind of impossible, and, maybe it is, but, that someone asked, like, how should you know if you should, like, keep going or if you should try or something? And he was like, you don't. You just kind of are crazy enough to keep trying, and then along the way there are little kind of crumbs and nuggets that tell you that you're on the right path. And I have to say, like, sometimes for me, those things, the things that, like, keep the motivation going, have been just, my friend Zach, for example, texted me after the Apocalypse Sommelier video, and he's like, dude, that was super funny. And it's not like, oh, I need to get, like, a zillion views on a video to feel good about it. It's more just that if someone who's kind of if someone understood the sense of humor that I was trying to do, and lets me know that they, like, enjoyed it in that moment, that's something that, I don't know, keeps things, the motivation going. And yeah, so the other thing I wanted to announce is the Laugh at Pat. Since we're in the Laugh at Pat news section, the Laugh at Pat 1 year anniversary is coming up. I believe March 12th will be the 1 year since we launched the Laugh at Pat thing. The thing I've been, telling myself is, like, I do a new video every Wednesday. Every Wednesday for a whole year, I've made a new video, and that at times has been not so hard and has been super fun and super engaging. At certain moments, it's also been stressful, and it's added some little bit of stress, but also sometimes some beautiful little moments of creativity have come from that stress. But I wanted to announce that I have, like, an idea for this special, like, 1 year anniversary show. I think the Wednesday that will fall right around it is more like March 9th or something. But I have a special video planned for it that I'm really excited for. We're gonna have, some guests. We're gonna have some kind of retrospective. It's gonna be fun. I'm really excited for this one. It's kind of, for me, falls into the category of, like, the Laugh at Pat Christmas special, where I really doubt anybody would find that randomly and think, like, oh, this is good and or funny. But it's something for the people, there's a small group, 10 to 30 people who are watching the videos weekly and who are following along. And for them, every once in a while, it's fun, I feel like, to make something, and also for myself, to make something that has some kind of inside jokes to it and whatnot. So I think it's going to be really fun. I'm really excited. The thing I'm looking for from you guys is if you have favorite moments or favorite sketches that you can think of, get in the comments. Let me know. Send me a message on Instagram or send me a text message. I mean, actually, unless you have an iPhone, I can't get text messages, but send me a WhatsApp or a Telegram. Let me know, and I'm going to kind of use that and include that. So that's the special 1 year announcement. Now, the thing I wanted to get into that I thought would be fun, is, so, like I posted my latest video, which is a travel vlog of the Berlin club scene, it's quite stupid and quite silly, but first it made Anya laugh really hard, which made me happy because I have to be honest, my videos don't make her laugh very often. But she's great. But so I posted it in the subreddit for Berlin, which isn't, doing any sort of stock manipulation. But if you post something on Reddit, first of all, the comments are harsh. And I've had some great ones over the years. And the thing is, here's the thing. As I mentioned, I love to hear myself talk. I'm a little bit self-obsessed. I can be a bit fragile when it comes to, getting critiques and or feedback. But for some reason, like harsh comments, like it kind of makes me laugh. Like I feel like it should hurt me more. But like them just like really tearing into it kind of, I don't know, to me it kind of cracks me up. And so I thought it would be fun to share this at, let's see, 8:13. Get into this. So the first one here is on the latest club one. And from No Scheme 2338, he wrote, "I thought the lockdown was already hard. This was so unfunny that it made me realize it could be worse. Thank you for your service?" Question mark, which I thought was kind of funny. And let's see, I hope this next one is the other one. Oh yeah. So then, and I thought the other funny thing about that one was, my video eventually had like 0 upvotes, and I asked a few friends to upvote it for me. Like I asked 4 or 5. I have 4 or 5 friends. Shout out my friend, shout out Richard, shout out Sam, shout out Kenny and Cam and Garrett for being my Reddit ride or dies who will upvote my stuff when I'm trying to get some views. But my post ended up with no upvotes because it had been downvoted so much, and this comment got 3 upvotes. So I thought that was funny. And then the person underneath it said, "After watching this, I no longer fear Corona. I think it would be less painful." So just some good fun hating. And I mean, to be fair, I think that's fair game. I'm putting it into this subreddit, which it already kind of doesn't fit into. I just thought like it's a lot of like very specific jokes that you have to know the Berlin club scene to kind of get, and so I'm putting it out there. So I'm putting it into their face. It's not like they came looking for it and then were negative about it. So this is the next one is from when I did the Wild Tram video. And this one, like there's like kind of a meme going around right now on TikTok or whatever social media stuff where it's like, tell me a video that lives like rent free in your head. This is a comment that lives rent free in my head and I love. But so I made the Wild Tram video, which in my opinion is like one of my favorite videos that I made. I thought it was really funny, and I posted it in our Berlin, and it got actually that gave it a decent bump in views, and it got like a good amount of upvotes and stuff. But someone commented, "Decent idea, poorly executed," which I thought was just the most our Berlin comment that you could make, and so I enjoyed that one. I had to save that one. Oh, and someone else commented with 5 upvotes. My post got 11 upvotes. This comment got 5, and it just says, "Are you okay? Do you need help?" Which I thought was funny. So there's that, and then I don't know if I should say this on the interwebs for my 15 viewers on my podcasts, but so I hire the services of a guy who has like a fancy Reddit account with like a bunch of karma, and who has like other accounts that he can use to gain it more traction. And when I did my little finger puppet public TV kind of show thing, I had him post it, and on one of them there were 2 comments, and oh no, is it here? Oh yeah, here it is. First, from No More Pumpkins, commented, "I made it 20 seconds into it before I wanted to blow my brains out. Anyone else have the stomach to beat my time?" And then I Am Vigilante commented, I tried skipping ahead a bit and it wasn't any better, which again is fair. I mean, I'm forcing it out into their world of Reddit, so I think it's fair for them to critique so harshly. And I mean, I made a 15-minute long video about finger puppets who want you to talk more about pooping. So maybe that's on me. It's like, that's the content I'm creating. If I don't want to have comments like that, maybe I need to make better content. I enjoyed that video, but they apparently didn't. Now, this last one was a YouTube comment, which he came out of his way to come at me for. So that's why I prefaced the other one saying, like, I feel those were deserved. But this guy, Henry, 2 months ago commented on my cat video, and which is my most viewed video, 900 views, kind of a big deal. But he commented, do you ever get paranoid that the people you meet immediately want to punch you in the throat? Which, of course, I did have to like and heart, because that's what you do as a YouTuber. You gotta create that genuine fan connection, and you got to create organic engagement. And that's going to bring him back to the page. But I felt like that comment was a little out of line from Henry. It was a little hateful. I mean, he's trying to get a rise out of me. And, but maybe people do want to punch me in the throat. I don't know. I'm not in other people's heads. It could be a thing. It could be that maybe I have a very punchable throat. I don't know. Maybe my personality is kind of throat punchy. I'm not sure. So anyways, those are news from the haters. And now, of course, we have to move into our Yahoo News headlines folder. So let's get this open. Now, I should say I've just been saving these as they've come in, and I haven't re-looked at them. So here at 1411, we'll start looking at these headlines. And so I'm not really sure how these are going to go. So this first one is Raiders owner buying another Las Vegas franchise. Now, I'm actually wearing my Raiders hat today. I mean, I turned the logo sideways because it's cooler that way, kind of like with the headphones. But Mark Davis, the son of Al Davis, and Al Davis, I mean, he was not a great owner in the latter years, but he had some swagger to him. He took on the NFL. He kind of he tried a few things, and I don't know, there was something redeemable. Mark Davis, on the other hand, is the worst. And, he took the Raiders out of Oakland, which is shitty, I think. I mean, I get it. I feel like in a way the Raiders do fit in Vegas and everything, and I had stopped really caring long before. But I'm not a big fan of him. And they just used the most unattractive photo. And I just think it's interesting to see, what kind of photo they're using to represent Mark Davis. And he's not an attractive guy. The bowl cut, for example, but this one, he really looks like some sort of methed up elf. And so I wanted to share that. Yes. So the next one is elusive Wolverine captured on Yellowstone National Park's trail camera for the first time. According to the National Park Service, there have only been 7 wolverines documented in Yellowstone and adjoining forests between 2006 and 2009. Now, you might be saying to yourself, Patrick, that's not a funny headline at all. That's just interesting. That sounds like the kind of headline that you would just read and then, spout back to people at dinner parties. And you're right. The two things I thought I wanted to bring your attention to and I thought were noteworthy to talk about this is, one, it comes from People magazine. The height of scientific discourse. And 2, just because I have a personal connection to wolverines, when I was in Glacier National Park with my dear, dear friends, Cameron and Hannah, Hannah and I came down with a little bit of food poisoning, and mine abated much quicker than hers. And so she was stuck in the tent, which there is nothing worse than being sick when you're camping. Like like the height of discomfort and uncoziness. I mean, you can be quite comfortable and cozy camping, but not if you're sick. I mean, that's not what you want when you're sick. And so at some point, Cam and I, we were kind of stuck in, because she wasn't feeling so well, we were stuck in just like a car camping lot, because we were mostly backpacking there. And we were like, let's go to the ranger program, which we normally is not the type of activity that we would do. And so we went to the ranger program, and it was mostly geared towards children. However, they did a section on wolverines that was amazing. I highly recommend that you guys look into wolverines. They're super badass. Like, first of all, I mean, their ability to like climb mountains, they can take on bears and packs of wolves. Their teeth can puncture frozen, like they'll murder like a moose and bury it in the snow, and then they'll come back when it's frozen and their teeth can still like bite through the meat. And they do like a dance to that like hypnotizes the moose, that makes the moose come towards it, and then they bite it in the neck. And our favorite thing, because I have to include Cameron in this, it was both of us. We were both in on this. Our favorite thing about wolverines was the mother raised the kids, and the dad is kind of like a deadbeat dad who just like stops by every few weeks with food. And then at a certain age, the mom is like, I'm done with you, and kicks them out of the hole or wherever they're staying. I don't know. I didn't pay that much of attention. And then the dad takes the kids for a while and like teaches them how to hunt and like be a wolverine. And anyways, I don't know. Wolverines are awesome. Not the X-Men character, but okay, so this next one from Glamour magazine, again, the height of political journalism. Kamala Harris and her socks are going viral in this TikTok about Trump's impeachment. And I mean, you can Google like problems with Kamala Harris. Google like Tulsi Gabbard destroys Kamala Harris in the Democratic primary to know everything you need to know about why Kamala is the worst. And I hate that now it's like become this thing that everybody's like, yes, Kamala, and they always use this type of photo. Anyways, I'm trying to stay more away from the political stuff. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really trying. So the next headline here: prehistoric dire wolves look different than those on Game of Thrones, study suggests. I mean, can you believe it? The show that had dragons was not scientifically accurate on prehistoric dire wolves. That is outrageous. I am outraged. I am outraged right now, and I applaud. I stand for Yahoo News bringing this type of hard-hitting journalism to the table. Let's see, what do we have next? Oh, yeah. Can 8 tech moguls worth $1 trillion save democracy? I mean, guys, is this really where we're at? Like, we're just like, can all the super rich people bail us out? Let's just really full on lean into the oligarchy. I mean, why even have elections anymore? I mean, Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates can just battle it out for America. Why not? Okay, so anyways, oh yeah, so this next headline, I know I said no more politics, but I thought this one was fun to comment on. Trump won't hand off the nuclear football to Biden. And this falls into the category of story for me that I think is interesting, that like has come out with Trump. Is I feel like there's all these weird traditions that were never really talked about, or like, you know, maybe not in the general public discourse. And there's something weird and gross to me that, like, when the president takes office, the one president who's leaving office hands him the briefcase with the nuclear codes, and it's like, is this what being president is about? Is just about having the nuclear codes? Like, it's, yeah. I could have maybe more eloquently talked about that, but it felt gross. It's like, why? Okay, so this next one is an interesting one. Dogs were domesticated in prehistoric Siberia before being brought to America, according to study. Dogs were already domesticated when they were first brought to America by prehistoric human settlers, according to a scientific study, which I think is just interesting to think that like super old prehistoric humans had already domesticated dogs. I mean, it makes sense that we've gotten to, you know, the little cute floofballs like Zorro from huskies, if it's been such a long time. But yeah, I wish maybe I could have made that funnier. Maybe I should be more prepared and like prepare and look at the headlines that I pulled. The last one we're not gonna do the last one. Never mind. We're just gonna wave that one off and say no thanks. Thanks, but no thanks. So it's time to. We're moving right along here, and I wanted to, before we get into stuff I'm into, I wanted to give a quick update. I got a lot of feedback about my in-depth review of the German sparkling waters, or Mineralwasser der Deutsch, the sparkling waters of Germany and of Berlin. And I wanted to let you know, I had been continuing to try to push the boundaries, push the line, and continue to try more new mineral water, more different brands of mineral water. And finally, last weekend, disaster struck, and I bought still water. I thought it was a mineral water. It was with the other mineral waters. It looked like a mineral water. It was in a nice glass bottle, which, I've become now. I only drink my mineral water from the glass bottles. The plastic bottle mineral water are trash, and I will stand by that 100%. But yeah, I bought still water. I spent €1.20, €1.50 for something that I could have gotten out of the tap, and it didn't even really taste any better than tap water. So that was pretty disastrous, and since then I've stopped with my exploration of mineral waters. I know I like the Brandenburg Classic. I know I like the other one that's a medium. So I pretty much am only getting mineral waters bottles of water that say medium on it, because then I know it's a mineral water, or the Brandenburg, which is the classic that I love, that has so many sparkles. It's like the sparkliest. And I have to say, it's this sparkling water addiction has picked up pace. I'm probably putting down a solid 1 or 2 bottles of mineral water a day now. I'm currently out. I finished my bottles from last night. I've been trying to keep about 4 or 5 in the fridge, and so I'm gonna have to go out now to the store this evening to get more mineral water, because that's kind of where I'm at with my mineral water addiction. I'm hoping once I reintroduce alcohol, marijuana, and sugar into my diet that I can kind of suppress this unhealthy habit of mineral water, and hopefully that will kind of decrease some of the gastrointestinal issues that the huge amount of mineral water that I'm consuming has been costing me. Anyways, I did some jokes, folks. There's some jokes, folks. So that's the sparkling water update. I know a lot of you guys were probably wondering about that. And to close the show, of course, we have to talk about stuff I'm into. And the first thing I have to say, the thing that really rocked my socks, number one, is Pixar's new movie, Soul. Shout out to my friend Austin, who I saw. He posted something on Facebook about it, and for me, anytime Pixar releases a movie, I want to see it. And it's not even that I want to see it. I want to try to create an ideal viewing scenario, because I think if you can watch it like on a projector, obviously it's not like you can go to a theater, but like here at least. But if you can watch it on a projector with like a little group of people, it's somehow watching something with people makes it the laughs more laughy, the cries more cryy, and so I really we organized a few of us to get together and watch it on the projector, and holy shit, I can't say it better than Austin said it, which is they really fucking out Pixar'd themselves. They are, to me, the really, like, I can't think of a movie studio that I have so much allegiance for, or allegiance to, and one that's so fucking consistent. Because even the ones that are kind of a little bit like less or lower quality, like the Trolls one that I think came out in the spring or whatever, was kind of like but it was still good. It was still better than most movies That's the thing, is like they consistently kill it in quality. And every time I watch one of their movies, it's not just that it's like, oh, this is a great message that makes me feel happy that children would be consuming this message that they're giving. And as an adult, it makes me laugh, it makes me cry. And as the movies progress too, the level of artistry to the animation and also the creativity of the ideas is, just blows me away. And I think my favorite Pixar movies to date have been Toy Story 3, which is just, especially for someone who the original Toy Story came out at the kind of age of the main character. I won't say the protagonist. That's probably Woody, right? But of the child in the movie, and growing up with those movies, to have a movie about kind of saying goodbye to your toys and this end of innocence and childhood and everything. That was powerful. I wept. And then Inside Out was another one that just, the creativity of the idea of that there's these different emotions and how you deal with them and everything. And another one also that I really thought, okay, we're going to have to do a little, we're going over an hour. I'm sorry, guys. I just saw that we're about to run out of time, and I gotta quickly get to the rest of this. So, boom. Okay, so we're back, and I'm going to make it quick. But the Toy Story 3 and then the Inside Out with the emotions, it was a movie that I was like, I'm so happy children are watching this and, getting to learn about the idea of emotions in this context that all emotions have a place, that it's not actually the goal to just be happy, but that, sadness also has to have a place in your life. And it was a funny movie, poignant. And with Soul, kind of Pixar's take on the afterlife, or, what is going on here a little bit. And I don't know, they walked the line so beautifully. It's a trippy movie. The artistry of the animation is beautiful. It's really funny and sweet. And the message about life, about the point of life, about, living your life to the fullest, which, can be a cliche message, but they do it beautifully. And also accepting, kind of the end, and letting go, realizing that, your meaning in life is not necessarily something that's just, for this guy playing piano. And for me, it gave me pause. It's like I've been so obsessed with these videos and being like, oh, I'm like, this is this thing that I'm like the most proud of that I've been doing, and I've been working so hard on it, and I'm so engaged with it. And it reminds you that, life is made up of these tiny moments, and there's these tiny moments that feel, excuse me, cinematic. It's the ocean hitting your feet. It's, a morning that the sun came out and hit a tree that you were walking by in a certain type of way. It's these little things, and that add so much meaning. And so it was just beautiful. And we were collectively, the five of us who watched the movie, an emotional wreck. Like as it wasn't just that I cried during the movie, but afterwards, as we were trying to discuss the film, I was breaking down, and it ended in just like a dead sober cuddle puddle on the couch, like a dead sober weepy cuddle puddle on a couch. And it was just a great evening, and the movie was fantastic, and I was totally blown away, and I would highly, highly, highly recommend it to anybody. And afterwards, we got home, and Anya was like, have you ever cried with that many people before? And I was like, no, that was a first, to have like a 5-person weepy, cryy cuddle puddle because of a children's film. That was a first for me. All of those were firsts, except for crying at Pixar movies. That was not a first. So anyways, Disney Pixar Soul, the Disney, but Pixar's Soul, I highly recommend. The other thing that I really, really enjoyed this week was comedian Ari Shafir's Skeptic Tank podcast, The Year in Review. He split it up into like 6 or 7 parts. And I heard him doing an interview once, and he was talking about, kind of the beginnings of podcasting, and this guy, Brian Redband, who helped, originally start the Joe Rogan Experience podcast when it was just, in Joe Rogan's garage. And he was saying, like, when he, with him, the point of podcasting that it was that it was meant to be like this pirate radio kind of thing. And I feel like Ari has really taken that idea and run with it. And so he did this podcast where he went on he's living in Ecuador at the moment for 4 or 5 months. And so he went on this hike, and at different locations along the hike, he stopped and recorded the podcast, like video and audio. It's on YouTube, Ari Shaffir on YouTube, and it's also on podcasting platforms. And he talked about different points of his year. He did this year in review. And I mean, he had a crazy year. He did this, he does these death tweet things where he kind of like, when someone famous dies, he like roasts them. And he's done it for a long time. And he did one about Kobe Bryant this year, and he got really lit up on the internet. People were not into it. And so he talked about what that was like. And, also, I mean, he was pointing out a very, something that I felt like was relevant, which was, we were all celebrating Kobe, when he was basically, an admitted rapist. I mean, he settled with the woman out of court. And at the press conference, he's like, I can now see how she felt that I didn't have consent, which, I mean, you can't admit to it more than that. I mean, you can also say, like, I also believe people can change, and redemption is possible in these types of things. But I don't know, him roasting him for that fact, and then people coming. That was what kind of clicked me into it, and I started watching it. But then the rest of it was all super. It was just super interesting and super inspiring, and to me, it was like, this is what podcasting could and should be. And I was just really into it, and I highly recommend that kind of series of podcasts. I thought it was really well done and innovative and different and exciting. And he had some interesting takes on things, and just, him, I don't know, he's also a traveler. And so as someone who enjoys travel and, the vagabond lifestyle and stuff, that's definitely a podcast I think that you would enjoy. Anyways, I have more stuff, but we'll save that for the next one. Next week, hopefully, we are going to be back with another interview, another conversation podcast. Haven't quite figured out who it's going to be yet, but that is hopefully coming up next week. I'm also hoping, eventually I want to find maybe 1 or 2 of the comedians here in Berlin that I could have kind of co-host the podcast with me, so that I could do some of these podcasts as my character. But I need someone who's kind of more the straight man in that scenario. But I don't know. I have some ideas for the podcast. I'm engaged with it. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it. Thank you for watching. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe. If you're listening, rate, review, whatever, or just go to the YouTube and hit subscribe at laughatpat on all social media. That's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, take it easy, and we'll see you again real soon.